We are on our way to Harrisburg. It just dawned on me an hour and a half out that I did not finish my videos yet this week. In fact, that's a lie. I didn't even start my videos yet this week. So I gotta get through them, get them done. Not a lot to talk about this week. Obviously, this week revolves around Harrisburg. You know, what we're looking to do in Harrisburg. This is the most subdued I've ever been going to Harrisburg. Very happy with what we've accomplished so far on the track. Not always perfect. You know, you look back at yesterday, I thought we'd have an exceptional day yesterday, and it was very ordinary. A very ordinary day. But as I had told everybody last night, I explained what I had saw at Dayton, what my take on Dayton was, and how we were going to remedy the issues that I saw at Dayton. Now, if you didn't check that video out, it's pretty informative, even for us. I went through every horse to shoeing what I thought the issues were, why I thought they were issues, and how we were going to fix them. So, as I said, very proud of what we've accomplished this year. We've had our highs, we've had our lows. Obviously, probably one of the lower points was the Breeders' Crown getting parked, but that happens. And as I said to Steve, you know, it was somebody who told me this week, I think it was Nick actually, Clang had said, I'm not sure who it was. You know, I was a little down in the dumps. Anytime you get parked and you're on your center stage and you make, you know, what's appeared to be a mistake, then it obviously eats away at you. And it was I think it was Nick. It said, you know, everybody wants to talk about the Breeders' Crown. He said, first off, I'm not sure that you made the wrong move. Well, in hindsight, you did, but in real time, I can tell you why I made it, and it happens. He said, but nobody wants to talk about the $250,000 horse made before that. He said, you were second at 80-1 in the race here in Ohio. You were third in the Adios. You had a great year. You won a Sire Stake race with him. It happens. He said, nobody talked about Dave when he got parked. It happens. You're going to race the best horses, the best drivers, the best trainers on the biggest scene, on the biggest track. It's not always going to work out well. This industry is full of great stories, but it has some tough ones too. Some real tough ones. And when it comes to what we've accomplished, where we're at, I think our good stories far outweigh our bad ones. That's for sure. We've had a great year. I look at Jason the other day. His training average is somewhere around 400. You know, Eric's had a great summer. Tim Twaddle's had a great year. I went into the Meadows the other day, and when we were going to race our 3 horses, do you still have shares of Ready for Landing? No. Ready for Landing was in. Pickpocket was in. You do have shares in. And Tenacious Hanover. 3 horses. Ready for Landing. Coming off a qualifier, made a break in his first start. We opted just to stay the course and race him without hobbles on, because I didn't feel that was the reason he made a break. I did not feel that way after the race. But I got a lot, going on. What do I say if he makes another break in the same place? That's on me. And it turned out the horse raced fantastic, got away second, attacked, won the race in 55 and looked great. Pickpocket coming in, he had scattered results, right? And he was beaten in his last start, and I didn't even know until well after the race. It was the next day, actually. Jason told me he ended up racing with the snap broke his hobbles. And if you watch coming out of the last turn, you can see the strap hanging down. And Kane was telling me about this yesterday. He goes, oh yeah. So it was hanging down and clanging around. Tough bugger. And then Tenacious Hanover, who we had bought, really had never done anything for us other than look present. Now he's starting to come alive, and he looked great the other day in racing also. So I'm on top of the world, and then he went to yesterday thinking it's coming up roses before Harrisburg. Everybody's going to race good, and they didn't. Right? Vehement raced a fantastic Casanova Hall present, marching fourth. He had bled. I didn't realize he was on Lasix. He had bled, and then he said, well, then he made that break. Well, he made the break because he was tired. Right? He was exhausted because he couldn't get his air. Made a break. I spoke to Tim about that. We're going to give him next week off and then put him on Lasix, and away we go. Brace for Landing. I had said to Jason this morning, again, I'm running all this back through my head. Again, it all ties to the video. Did you watch the video at all from last night?
No, I went to sleep.
I loaded it. No, I didn't even load it till this morning. but it explained what had taken place. I talked to Kane and a number of other people throughout the day, and they all said the track was deep, and it really wasn't playing that well. The courses with flip-flops were struggling. Here we have Race for Landing with flip-flops on. He scoped 1 out of 5 for blood, 1 out of 5 for mucus. Well, he didn't really put in a good effort in his last 3. All 3 of those were at Dayton, and he has flip-flops on. So I said to Jason, you take away those 3 Dayton starts, he has that running off win in Scioto in 54 by 6 lengths, and then 3 very ordinary lines at the new track. I said, so maybe what we'll do is send Race for Landing over there and bring Pickpocket down to Dayton, where I believe he'll do very well. And my thought process behind that is simple. One race goes for 18, the other one goes for 11. You can make the argument that every win that he has at the Meadows cost you $3,500, because I believe he could have had a win at Dayton, which goes for $7,000 more. And you can only, and that's a condition race. So once that win is on there, you know, you're closer to not being able to fit that class anymore. So it just made sense to me that we would go that route rather than you know, race him back at the Meadows for less money. Spitfire Overseas again, another horse, just looked flat yesterday. He got gobbled up on the end of it. Same type of thing with this horse also. Now, he did not scope with any blood. What's that? Yeah, but he's always like that. It takes him a while to get to the front, and then he keeps rolling. That's just him. I don't think, if you watch, I was literally standing at the fence with Stacy, and she goes, what do you think of the hobbles coming to the half? Because he is so big now. He looks like a rhinoceros. He is gigantic now. And I said, hobbles still look a little tight, because he's the one horse. They're hard to set. Because when you go on the track, more times than not, when I set the hobbles and go on the track for the first time in a race bike, I'll go, they look a little loose, and I'll tighten them up. He's the one horse almost every time I've ever driven him, I went on the track and had to let them out. Because when you walked onto the track, they look great. But when you get out there and he starts striding way out, they really grab a hold of the bike, and you end up letting them out. And Brett said the same thing. He said, I was sure they were perfect when he went on the track, but in the mile, he said they really were jerking the bike pretty good. Now, the other thing I can say is, I felt the same way with Drebin, and it wasn't that his hobbles were short, it was that he was slipping a little bit, and he found himself very uncomfortable in the trotting hobbles. There's 2 horses we raced yesterday that have hang bars on behind. Bar shoes, flip-flops. I just don't think they can get a hold of the track at Dayton. That would be my thought. And then when you look at Chevron's Bypass, she was full of blood. Full. We scoped her after, and she was like a 4 out of 5 for blood. So again, we have to work to dry her up and work on her breathing. And that's probably her first start. She get picked off of the wire. No need to scope her that night. We were all tickled pink by the way she raced. Come out her next start, and Luke ducked her. She didn't really finish up well, but kind of blame Luke. Next start, same thing. Luke ducked her. She didn't finish up all that good. You're like, geez, it's not good. And then I raced her last night and got away in the 2-hole, and she was done halfway down the backstretch. When you scope her, she's full of blood. I believe likely what happened was she bled a little bit when Luke took her to the back. She bled a little bit the next time. Might have bled a little bit the first time. We couldn't scope her because she had raced late enough. The vet just wasn't there, and we weren't able to scope her. And really, because he had taken her back, we were more apt just to blame Luke than to blame a bleeding issue. And then last night in Dayton, you know, you scope her, you're like, wow, she bled a lot. Well, we also trained her on Monday. So if you had bled, trained and bled, we didn't scope her because the vet wasn't there and couldn't scope her on the Monday, but she trained so good, I was certain she didn't bleed. And then you go to race her on the Friday, 4 days later, and lo and behold, she's full. Well, I can almost guarantee you that's an easy thing to fix, because I believe that was a compounding issue. Not just that she bled yesterday, but what led up to yesterday was the true problem. So you're going to see her bounce back, I'm sure, in a big way. And then, as I said, Drebin, the ag bars on behind, just felt like he also was slipping a little bit. And then Tactical Mounds made a pretty rare break for herself behind the gate. I talked to Megan today quickly. She said everything was fine. She just got thrown her head a little bit, made a little bit of a break. She gets another crack at them next week. And, you know, 3 to 5 or 6 to 5 or something. Last night was that filly going to the gate, that mare going to the gate. So again, continues to be a tremendous horse, and that's another, you know, high point in the stable. Not many stables can say, well, we didn't have the greatest run at the Breeders' Crown. And I almost made a video the other night, cataloging all the heavy hitting trainers that did not either have, that weren't in the Breeders' Crown or did poorly in the Breeders' Crown. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to be the guy that talks about somebody else's misfortune to make themselves feel good. So I didn't want to do that, and I'm not going to do that. But it's a very easy exercise. You go in and look at all these high-profile trainers that didn't do good. The one thing, what was good? It was good for the industry this year to see James win 2 races, to see Ronnie Wren win a race for sure. Yes, Ron Burke did very well. Yes, Aki Svanstedt did very well. But a number of other, Vernon Beachy won the, well, I almost called him Vernon Yor. Vernon Beachy, a friend of mine, a good guy, worked his butt off to get this filly ready, left the filly with Linda Toscano. She wins the elimination. She wins the Breeders' Crown final. Those are good people. Just everyday, middle of the road, good people. And that was my takeaway from the Breeders' Crown. Sure, I wanted us to go out. I wanted Memento Mori to be great. Raced as good as he could. Take nothing away from the colt. Time is on my side. Got a crappy trip. It happens. And again, Tactical Mounds ended up getting away 10th. But there's nothing you do. You look left, leaving the gate. There's 5 horses leaving left of you. There's not much you can do. But we had 3 horses in the Breeders' Crown, and all 3 belonged there on paper. Right? We had a good year. We had a great summer in Ohio. We had a very good run in Pennsylvania. I was really happy with, well, obviously happy with Time Is On My Side, but Arrowhead Hamilton had a great year also. Kentucky, Arson continued to do well. His last start in Kentucky will be on Tuesday. That's it for his 3-year-old staking. After that, somebody said, well, where are we going to turn him out? I'm not turning him out anywhere yet. The horse is going to continue to race. He's always been, the one thing about being in Kentucky, and I didn't realize this, Jason was the one that said it. He said, in regards to Memento Mori, he's never had to ship to race in his entire life. He was stabled at Oak Grove. He was stabled at Lexington. This was the first time he had to ship anywhere to race. Same as Arson. She had to walk out of the barn and go race. This year he raced in Oak Grove. He raced in Kentucky. So he's still sharp as a tack. He'll do well, I'm sure, on Tuesday. And then after that, he is, where does he go then? Don't know. Mohawk, I looked up. There's not a whole lot there for Mohawk for him. And you guys know what happens. If there's not a designated class he can race in consistently, he's going to find himself in the open at some point, and that's just not going to happen. So I would say if Mohawk doesn't have something he can offer, Indiana possibly, Southern Ohio possibly, in regards to Time Is On My Side, he got a week off. I think he deserved it. He torched pretty good in the final. He's going to get a week off, and he's going to come back. He'll race. He'll probably win his 10th race at the Meadows. Then he'll go to Yonkers, where they have a numbers of 8 but not 11 with Megan. And then he'll race in the 3 to 5 year old Open there that goes for $35,000. From what I can see and from what I've been told, he would do very well in there if he stayed true to form, which he does. This is a horse that gets around a half very well, right? Was up to the quarter in 25-4 and second in 150 in Cleveland in the Milstein. So he'll fit well there. All our other horses, you look at what we did on, we might have had a flat night on Friday, but these horses have been doing very well. Vehement was a little bit of a surprise to me. Here's a horse that was a $350,000 yearling. We ended up getting him for $18,000 2 years later. And these are the types of scenarios, people see some of our horses, I had people say, oh, Captain Incredible hasn't panned out in 2. He doesn't really have to. Time Is On My Side had $14,000 made after his 2-year-old season. It's not that they have to be good at 2. If you're a good horse, you can be put in a place to make money all throughout your 3-year-old and 4-year-old season. And Vehement, now there's a $325,000 purchase as a yearling. Didn't pan out. Obviously that was a tough pill to swallow. Regardless of how much money you have, it's still a tough pill to swallow. And then to have that horse come out, we buy him for 18. Now he didn't go win at 55. He won at 59. But he looked pretty good doing it, from what I can see. Casanova Hall, this horse has finally got him squared away. Now if we want to keep going down to Dayton, I think we have to take those egg bars off from behind, and we have to start shoeing him more like a more normal horse. But after 5 clean lines, his confidence is probably a little stronger than it's been in his entire life. So now that we can take some of those training wheel parts off that we put on him, at some point they all graduate back to normal shoeing, but it's just when. Is 5 starts enough? Is he there mentally? Is he there already? I don't know. There's really only one way to find out. And I think that's likely what we will do with Casanova Hall next week. Marching Forth, as I said, bled a little bit. He'll get a week off, and then he'll be right back to it. Brace for Landing will go to the Meadows. 3-point blue chip. I told Kane I'll buy him after the wire, and I looked over, I said, make sure you don't book off this guy next week. He was very good again. We'll be back at it with Chevron's Bypass. Just got to change the way we approach racing with her. Drebin, another horse. He also wears those egg bars behind. Can we get those off? Maybe aluminums on him and tactile mounts. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. She made a break. Very rare. There's no particular reason for it. I'm sure she'll be fine her next start out. So we look at all those storylines. Arison, time is on my side. Also, Yo Mister, he's going to make his last start in Ontario this week. You know, again, he had 14,000 made last 5, I think, and he ends up in the non-winners at 28,000. And I understand that Mohawk's just trying their best to fill classes, and they weren't going to go with Looks Like Money's class if they didn't get another horse. I get it. I understand it. But there's 2 sides to every coin, and I can't keep racing Yo Mister over his head. And that's the position that he's been put in. A lot of people asking about Harrisburg. Are we going to get any more, you know, high-end horses? Of course, we're always looking. That'll depend on the sale. And there's lots of horses that have been selling. Over the last little while that we've been bidding on, and we'll continue to try to acquire and move out. A lot of people asking me last week, why would you sell Stay Close? Why would you sell those horses? Because I've just had enough of them having to race over their head or not get in. That's why. It's not good for us. Not good for the horses. And I'm just not really that interested in doing it. So when I look at our horses, I guess I should have had this queued up before, but when I look at the stable horses top to bottom, I've been pretty happy with the position we're in and the position we are looking to stay in when it comes to our barn. I think we've put together a pretty strong model when it comes to Ohio. We know what we want to do. Meadowland, the Meadows, and Northfield working in tandem to use the classes that they offer, that they race consistently to our advantage. I think we've done a good job with that. We have not done our best job in Ontario, and that's mostly because it's tough to find consistent classes. In Ontario, it's really tough to find classes that race every week, right? You're always left putting together shoestring, classes, and it just doesn't help. It doesn't help us. And that's not, I guess it's not that we did a poor job. It's just the way that it shook out in Ontario. Now, I haven't been following the B tracks much. Do you have many horses racing in London? None at all. Yeah. So I mean, it's really tough to get all those horses in. We look at Admiral Dio. Let's see if he gets in next week. Every 2 weeks, it seems like this horse. This is a 3-year-old maiden, and he got in every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, this horse has got in. Arson, Casanova Hall, Drebin, George in the Jungle has been first and second since coming over here. Now he's 12-1 morning line Monday or Tuesday. I don't understand that. The horse, was he great his last start? No, he wasn't great. But he'll be much, much better this week. I'm sure of that. His hind feet are killing him, and I don't really know why. It's very rare. We took his hind shoes off. Been working on him all week. Had him in the water, the Equicizer, in Dr. Tessa's vet clinic over there. So we'll see how he races out of that, but I think the horse will be just fine. Now, we are going to have to switch gears with a number of our horses. Hallie in the Clouds, her knees have just become such that now you're a coin flip to get her ready. If she was a 56 trotter, then I would have her ready and have her racing. But when you train her in 2-1 and qualify her in 2-4, and now you're looking to patch her together, I have to ask why. Now, we did spend some considerable money working on her knees throughout the month of October, but that was simply to try and have her ready to race in November and December up until the time we have those fillies in. You said you had a filly in the sale too?
Yeah.
Which one?
Wildwood.
Wildwood, right? She's a full King of the North, you said.
Right.
We have the one horse we have in the sale in full the shoes, right? And she's in full the tactical approach.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's in full tactical approach. And we have 5 other mares or fillies in there. Hallie in the Clouds being one. That's a filly we paid $87,000 for too. So it's not like she doesn't have pretty good pedigree. She does. Insider Trading. This is sister to Jail Cruise. She's in the sale also. She'll race up to December. She doesn't really have any lameness issues. but she has struggled in her 3-year-old season. Come out firing at 2, won a stake race, multiple stake races. I think she won. Took a mark at 56-3. So she should do well at the sale. Having said that, she's done as well on the track this year. And some of those fillies we are going to look to turn over. Pull the shoes, Insider Trading, Alley in the Clouds. Really Don't Care. That's the Wind Doves Cry, yeah. Chapter 7 there. I think we have 6.
The thing is, we don't know what that sale's going to be.
Yeah, I know, and you don't. Yeah, I know there's a lot of breeders have, like Allegiant, they're leaving her in it. The filly that won the Breeders' Crown at 3, Allegiant, is in this sale. So there's going to be a lot of breeders at the sale and paying close attention, and we'll see how that plays out. We have 2 more horses in the sale. I can't think of who they are. Do you know, Amy?
What?
The horses in the sale? She's of no help to me right now. That's okay. It's not a big deal.
It's a little money.
What else we got now? Alley in the Clouds. I'm Fancy Like Racing Sunday. Who? My Wicked Heart. Yeah, how can I forget her? And then there's one more. I'll come across her here in a second. Irresistible Sun comes back in next week. The timing of this is going to work out well. If we can get Pickpocket and Drebin through the latter part of these classes to when we're getting Irresistible Sun and Memory and Imagination ready, it could work perfectly where those horses exit that class just as the other 2 are ready. And I think one has 8 and the other one has 7 wins. So we're looking at having at least 2 horses every week consistently in that class between now and almost January 1st is my plan. It's a great class. It's a 50,000 claimer. Non-winners of 10 races life. These horses all have allowance going in there also. So, I mean, we lost Militant in there. $75,000 we got for Militant. And the same as Pickpocket. If you're going to sit in here and say, well, how much did you pay for your shares? So, you don't tell anybody, but I can assure you it wasn't $750. So, you'll be fine.
The first one was.
Yeah, the first one, yeah. Yeah. It should be a good class for us all throughout the fall and the winter. Who else we got going? Lovers Play. I'm torn. I think. Who did I say I wanted to breed her to? Not King of the North. It was somebody. Oh,
Volstead.
Volstead, right? Volstead. I like the Volsteads because a lot of them seem big, and Lovers Play is, I would say, a medium-sized mare. Now, obviously, I would defer to you and Alan Swain and a couple of other people say, hey, does she cross well with Volstead? Because I have no idea, but whether it be Volstead, King of the North, or even TCI if he's heading to Ohio, like you said, then it would be one of those 3 horses I would suspect off the top of my mind. La Dorienne, back to the condition claimers with her. I like the filly, but she's not going to drop 56, 57 right now at Northfield. We bought her, and all she do is make breaks. Now she's consistently trotting. We just need to get her back up into form. Mike thought she was a little bit sick the other day. We'll see. Love and Affection raced great. Charging. Do you own any of Love and Affection?
You know.
Yeah, she's a nice filly, too. She raced great the other day. Charging second. They went 56. She would probably try 57 in a bit. And then you get into a couple other horses marching fourth. As I said, we talked about him earlier. Mel Gibbs Swan, he's back training now. Memory and Imagination will be coming back in soon. Mounts for All is a horse that I told everybody last year when he got injured. I got high hopes for this horse. I think he's going to be a real good 4-year-old. He's currently right now in Ontario also. Pickpocket, Purple People Eater. That's the other one. Purple People Eater is the other filly that's in the sale. Ready for Landing's been racing great. I'm going through mostly just the 3-year-old list here, just looking for horses that stand out. Certainly Save America is one. What kind of nice horse is he? He's a really, really, really nice horse. And for my partners out there in All Gas No Brakes, I know you've been waiting patiently, and I gave you I pushed you back another week. James said he schooled him yesterday, and he schooled very, very good at Mohawk. So the plan is to train him up next week and have him entered for Monday. So he may be off 4 weeks, might look a little short on paper, but he should be fine for a week from Monday. Spitfire, Tactical Mounts, Texan Soprano, got to get that guy back going also. Greatest Ending is entered for this week coming, I guess Thursday. He should be good. JK Victory will be coming back out of the field in another 10 days or so, and we'll get him trained back, potentially raced in the Meadows. We'll see how that plays out. looks like money, although he's been good, could be better. I'd like to see him put in a real good effort on Monday evening. Neptune is getting trained back. Rock Shining Star was awesome in Dayton. Was a winner in 150. Was parked the whole way, beaten 51 or 52. Then he went to the Meadows, ended up getting in a bad spot a couple of times. So he's going to be back in to go in the backup class. And we're going to have horses in the backup class and the Open that likely will both be picked to win if they draw decent positions on Thursday. 3 Point Blue Chip also is coming in sharp. He looks very, very good. Really, really happy with 3 Point Blue Chip and how he looks. Troisa is getting trained now, starting to train, I believe, in Ontario with Harry. Yo Mister, his last start will be in Ontario on Monday for Canada. He'll be leaving immediately. We're likely going to the Meadows. I'm not completely sold on the Meadows being the perfect spot for him. Again, here's another horse, might fit in Southern Ohio. It might also fit in Indiana, where he originally was from. We don't have anybody currently in Indiana. When I look at the landscape, I'm going to reach out to Ronnie and say, hey, does a horse like Arson and Yo Mister make sense in Indiana right now? Are those horses that can do some good? And do you have any horses for that class? It's also very, very important. Chevron's Bypass we talked about. And then Patrick the Corona qualified great at Northfield Park. He's also going to Dayton for next Thursday. So a quick little rundown of just some horses that have caught my eye. All the storylines that we had this year when it came to the stable. I had mentioned a few weeks ago we were talking about what the stable has accomplished, right? We haven't won the Breeders' Crown, we haven't won the Hamiltonian, we haven't won any major races. But every year we keep getting closer. The one thing we have done, do you know we've set 3 world records since we had our doors open? Yes, on a half-mile track, Northfield, 53-1 as a 3-year-old gelding. White Tiger is a 2-year-old. By the way, Amy, White Tiger races today. And White Tiger as a 2-year-old and Memento Mori as a 2. So in 2 different occasions, 2-year-old gelding trotter, we had the world record with in the last, well, inside 6 years, 5 or 7 years. So it's not like we haven't accomplished something, but we have a lot more to do. And I think every year we go to these sales, Harrisburg, Lexington, Ohio, we accumulate better horses. And it really is only a matter of time before we have one of those horses everybody dreams about. So that is the takeaway for me for the stable. Steve, what are you looking for in Harrisburg? You've bought a lot of horses already.
My list is extensive at this point, so I'm pretty open-minded right now.
Open-minded, yeah.
Gotta see what's down there. I'm not looking for anything specific. Trotting fillies, always looking for. Trotting colt. I got pacing fillies on my list. I left that one pacing colt that we talked about.
Yeah, it looks nice.
But, you know, we'll see.
And I'll be bringing everybody some updates from the sale. I know there's a lot of people saying, oh, there's not a lot sold out already. As I said, I really haven't put in my best effort because my last 2 weeks has been spent gathering up the remaining revenue to pay Lexington. Once that's done, it's a huge relief off my shoulders. But that happens as I walk through the doors of Harrisburg more times than not. And in the meantime, I have kind of dropped the ball where I might be calling you. You might be used to me calling you and saying, hey, we're going to Harrisburg, we're looking to put together some stuff. Is there anything that interests you? I know there are tons of people out there that have not raised their hand. Well, will be owners of
those things can go from 92 to 0.
Oh, yeah.
Very quickly.
Very, very quickly. And I've always, you know, I know you. I know our clients. And when it comes to what we're after and what we're looking for, it will be well represented in my bidding patterns, I can assure you, in Harrisburg. And when all the dust settles, I suspect as we're making that drive down that road, going out of Harrisburg, everybody will be happy and most of those shares will be sold out. I would wager pretty good money on that. Mrs. McDonald, what are you after for Harrisburg? What are you looking at? I know one horse. Amy's put one horse on her list so far. Her list consists of one horse.
I have some work to do.
You have some work to do. I know her list consists of one trotting colt by Chapter 7 at this very moment. That is it. One. And Amy and I will put together a list for everybody. We'll go over some horses as we head to Harrisburg. I'm so excited also. Jenna Ott is going to do the commentary this week because we were stuck, right? Mark is doing the pedigree reading at Keeneland. Jess Ott, her sister, couldn't be here also. Everybody's busy doing stuff around the industry. And we were very, very lucky that Jenna had a couple of days off and was able to join us down here. So she will be on the front desk, so to speak, as we do our live show heading into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday from Harrisburg. A lot of people asking about racehorses also. Are you buying any racehorses? Of course, I've already covered this. We are looking for, and we are going to continue to look to acquire racehorses as we head into the fall. This is the first year where, one, we have a lot of horses that are active and coming back in time to pick up the slack, so to speak, when the 3-year-olds are done racing and the 2-year-olds are put away. And the stake 2-year-olds towards the end of the year are put away. We have other horses that are ready to step in. We'll be acquiring horses, and we just have a number of horses that we didn't have last year that are ready to start racing right now. So an exciting time of the year, a huge transition. It's like it feels like we're turning a yacht. You know, it's just this gigantic thing that isn't going to turn very easily, but we have all the pieces in place as we go along. So can't wait to start racing. First things first, we're almost in Harrisburg right now. Want to get here, inspect some horses, look at them, give you guys some lists of what we're looking at, and then off to the races, so to speak. See what we acquire in Harrisburg. I would say, I'll publicly set it, the bar is at 7. I'm an under. I said 6. No, I said 6.
5.
No, 6 would be me setting the bar at 7 and taking the under, and that's what I'm doing. I set it at 6.
Take 6.5.
We can't buy a half a horse.
You're betting under 6.5. So 7.
Oh,
over.
I'm setting the bar at 6.5. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay. But I'm just for all round numbers and all intents and purposes.
6.5.
Should have got gas when we started too. When we stopped too. You never thought of that?
No, because I got
You think this is a solar car? Oh, you're one of those guys.
Well, relax.
The bar is set at 7. You can chime in if you want, but I will forever have your email if you do. I will know what you said. I am an under 7 for Harrisburg. I'm saying 5 or 6. Sounds like you miss size.
For those who wondered, his number was 8 to 10 in Lexington.
Yeah, 16.
But there was a lot that went into that.
And I seem to recall some serious laughter at the table on the Saturday night when you said it.
No. The over-under is 7, and I'm an under 7. What do you say?
Oh, you're going over 7.
No shot.
Well,
10. Amy said 10. What's your number then? You must have a number.
9.
9, 10, 6. We'll see how that plays in Harrisburg. I will talk to you all very soon. As soon as the week starts, we'll have a show for you on Monday. I'll have a video for you Sunday night, looking at some horses we're interested in. And then from there, we'll see who's right. Overs